Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Toria Real Estate Educator channel. It is my pleasure to present to you the newness of 2026. I am Toria Howard and I am the real estate educator. I educate individuals and families on how to increase their financial IQ by giving them a financial strategy so they can invest in themselves either with a personal property or investment property. I am a licensed real estate agent here in the beautiful city of Detroit and the surrounding areas. Beautiful state of Michigan. But just because I am in Michigan does not mean I cannot assist you. I know real estate agents all across this country. So I can assist you with all of your real estate needs. And I am here to give you a financial strategy, especially for 2026. Are you ready for 2026? Are you ready to purchase your home in 2026? And if you are, this is for you. And let me tell you why. I have created a system for you to cast out all fear, okay? And understand the process on at your pace, at your time, wherever you are, a year out, 6 months out, 3 months out, or you ready right now. So let's talk about it. So this week, we're going to be discussing why being pre-approved isn't enough anymore and what buyers must do in 2026. You have to come through with the newness, not just because of the new year, but things have changed. Our economic climate has changed, financial climate has changed. So things have to shift, and you have to go along with that shift. And I'm here to assist you along this path. So I need to tell you the truth about home buying in 2026 because being pre approved alone is no longer enough. And if no one has told you why, you could lose thousands or miss out on your window entirely. And we don't want that to happen because we want you to be a homeowner in 2026. So the old way of buying a home is over. Okay. So pre approval does not equal prepared. Just because you're pre approved for a mortgage does not mean that you are mentally, financially, emotionally ready to take on a home. You have to evaluate these things. And I know a lot of people get so excited about it, but you don't go in with a strategy, it's going to be difficult for you. Credit score does not equal buying power. Just because you have a high credit score doesn't mean that your buying power is any more than someone that has a lower credit score. You can buy a home now with no credit score minimum. So credit score is not even a factor in your buying power. So that has changed. And income does not equal affordability. Just because you are approved for $400,000 home does not mean that you can afford it. So you need to make sure that things are in alignment. And let's talk about that alignment. So I see buyers all the time pre-approved for let's say 300,000, right? Who couldn't close on 220,000 because their debt to income ratio, reserves, and spending habits weren't aligned. All of that has to be in alignment, and you have to make sure that you know what your debt to income ratio is. How much debt do you have versus your income? What are your reserves? It's the 1% rule. I tell my clients that all the time. Always have 1% saved every single year. So if your home is worth 200,000, you should have at least $2,000 saved for your for your reserves for your home maintenance, whatever comes about. Of course, you're gonna have a home warranty. Of course, you're gonna have homeowners insurance, but you need to make sure that you're understanding that you have to have those reserves and your spending habits. You know, how many of us have problems with overly spending? I know it's one of my, things that I go through with my financial situation. So, sometimes we overspend, we overextend. And if you overextend and you max out your house budget, it can be detrimental because the mortgage company gonna want their money regardless of whatever the fact is. So you want to make sure that you are being more disciplined And it's not, and I know people think of discipline as like taking away something. No, it's about having the right strategy so that you can live the life that you want to live. So lenders pre-approve the numbers. They don't pre-approve that you can afford it after the fact because your spending habits. You might tighten up before you get your home, but afterwards, they want their money on between the 1st and 15th. Okay. So, and also, you don't want to disrupt your lifestyle. If you like to do certain things, if you like your lunches, your brunches, your dinners, your date nights, your vacations, you don't want to buy a home that's going to take away from that. You want to make sure that your housing budget is 30%. 50% is of your income is a little bit steep, but I would say 30% is a good cushion. So you'll still have, you know, time for leisure. You want to be able to live life and have fun and not just leave all of it up to just your house. You have children, especially their activities are expensive. Especially if they're doing travel sports and different things, especially the cheer and the gymnastics and travel baseball and basketball, all that stuff is expensive. And you have to be able to maintain a certain lifestyle. So, what are the five financial buckets you need to have for this alignment? Credit profile, not just your score. Your credit profile says a lot about you. You want to make sure you only really need two main credit lines, revolving, installment, to revolving. And what is revolving? Revolving are credit cards, and your installment are like your car loan. If you put your rent on your credit report, personal loans, furniture bills, those things that you pay, in installments. Okay. So you need to make sure that you have that on your credit profile, your address, your work, your work is there. You don't have a whole lot of addresses and names. You make sure that you have a clean profile. And typically I tell my clients four is great to have and give it a good mix so that you will have the basics of two revolving, two installment, or three installment, one, whatever. Four is a good number, but you can still do it with two credit lines, not a whole lot of inquiries all over the place. Bankruptcies don't really matter as long as they're discharged within 2 to 5 years. So, and some lenders are not even looking for any negative items. So you just have to get with the lender that fits um, your profile at that time. Then income stability. Have you been on your job for 2 years or more? And we're not talking about switching industries or, increasing pay or, you switch industries because maybe you got a degree and you went from, a different type of job to a career job or whatever because you graduated. That's something different. So making sure you have that income stability, debt to income strategy. Your debt should be lower than your income. That's the whole point. The lower that number is, the higher your pre-approval, but you don't have to take the max. And your debt to income ratio, typically 43% is what lenders are looking for. Some lenders will take you at 56%. But you want to make sure it's below that 43%, as much as you can. And then reserves, make sure that you have some savings. Tax season is coming around. That's the perfect time to put something to the side for your home buying process. So for example, two buyers make the same amount. They make $85,000 a year. One buys a house easily, the other one gets denied. You know why? Because of strategy. They didn't have that other buyer didn't have those five buckets. They didn't have the things in alignment so that they look good on paper. So why 2026 buyers must have a better strategy? Because our financial and our economic climate has changed. And things do change often in this economy. And you have to be, up to date and making sure that you're following these trends. Rates are not going to go to 3 to 4%. It's just not. So you shouldn't be worried about the interest rate, but interest rates do fluctuate daily. So you need to make sure that you're getting in and following and making sure you're making these relationships with these lenders. Inventory is still kind of tight in strong Detroit neighborhoods. And we're talking about the University District, 48219, Rosedale Park, some areas, uh, and different areas, but they're still great deals because the thing is about Detroit real estate, as long as you're thinking like an investor and you buy a home where it's going to be growing, because that Joe Louis Greenway is about to take place here next year, and they're already finishing phases. Those pockets of those neighborhoods, it's 28 zip codes from the east side, the downtown, west side, all the way to Dearborn. You have choices. The Dexter Linwood area is getting revamped. Brightmoor is getting revamped. Okay, the Cooley High neighborhood is getting revamped. I just helped a client buy a house over there. She has instant equity. She bought her home for 110. It's a comp in her area for 185. She has instant equity. She is also making improvements to her property she already has. So her home value went from that 110 to probably already 130 from the improvements she's already made. So she has that equity already built in. That's why buying smart, don't get it with the right individuals, the right lender, the right real estate agent, and knowing that this is what you want. Interview the lenders, interview your real estate agents, understand how responsive they are, how knowledgeable they are. Ask them questions. You can use ChatGPT to get you some questions to ask lenders and real estate agents, but you want to make sure you get someone that's knowledgeable, right? So the next thing I want to talk about is something that I'm bringing here to you in 2026, which is pathway to keys, right? I'm an educator by nature, and I love, love, love educating people. And I came up with this community called Pathway to Keys because I have so many people that come to me and they're so distraught and they want to buy a house. They just don't know and understand the process. And I have streamlined that process for you in my Pathway to Keys program. So, what it's going to do for you, you're going to have a personalized roadmap, no generic advice. You're going to have your own personalized roadmap to your keys. You're going to have credit plus income plus cash strategies for your situation. Whatever your timeline is, 12 months, 6 months, 90 days, are you ready right now? And you're going to get access to understanding how grants and down payment assistance aligns with what you have. And along with that, you're going to get the emotions taken out because a lot of people block themselves from purchasing a home because they put their feelings and their emotions in it. And you want to think of it as buying and an asset that's going to be with you for the long term. Even if you are, thinking about something for the short term, you have to know your exit strategies. So you got to take the emotions out and think like an investor. I show you how to do that in my community of Pathway to Keys. So one thing that I am bringing to Pathway to Keys, I do have two ebooks, which is Journey to Your Castle, um, which helps first-time homebuyers go from concept to mindset. Your mindset has to change all the way to the closing table. But my book, my baby that I've been working on for 2 years, okay, that I revamped to for this economic climate that we're in, called Keys to Your Castle, is the workbook that you need. Yes, it is a workbook. It is something that you can work with, write in, companion for you on this journey from when you go to the lender to you find your real estate agent to when you find the homes. I have strategies for you how to look at certain things and not get glossed over, okay? And have rose-colored glasses on because something looks pretty because we get mesmerized by that pretty kitchen, right? That beautiful bathroom. But I give you the strategy on how to look beyond that to pick and choose what's best for you and your family. Okay, so that's coming here as well in 2026. Pre-sales will be starting soon. I would love for you to join Pathway to Keys. That is going to be your execution, but Keys to Your Castle is going to be your foundation. But you can start with Journey to Your Castle, but Pathway to Keys is the execution. But your foundation is going to be rooted in keys to your castle. You're going to be able to write your affirmations, your goals, your budget down. You're going to be able to actually see things in real time. When you go to your inspection, you're going to be able to say things that you want done. So if 2026 is your year to purchase a home, don't wing it. Book your Pathway to Keys session with me. I'm going to put the link below and grab the book that's going to be awesome for you. I'll be launching that soon, but Keys to Your Castle is going to be the foundation. But you can also purchase Journeys to Your Castle right now, which is an ebook that I have that's digital. Keys to Your Castle will be digital and also available, tangible for you to have, to feel, and to write in. And you want to grab the book so you have an understanding on why behind every move. So have an amazing day and let's get you to your pathway to your keys.